enemy. Welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy Bass the Kid. Now this is a bit of an amalgamation episode including the weekend wrap because, as you know, we had a bit of an extended weekend and time is not on my side at all leading up to the events of next weekend. So with that being said, I thought there was a couple things that happened during the weekend over the course of a few of the fight events. So with that being said, first half of the video is going to talk about the predictions, what stuck, what didn't. Second, I'm going to talk about one or two small topics that occurred which, you know, maybe I've got some insight in. Also, as you can probably see, the setup is slightly different in terms of the camera and stuff. There's an issue with the back camera on my phone and the videos ain't been coming out crisp, and now even pictures ain't coming out crisp. So I'm going to be using a different setup for the time being, just until I sort of get something else sorted out, 4K cam or whatever, but we'll keep that in mind moving forward. Anyway, without further ado, let's roll through. So in terms of predictions, I almost clean swept every one of them this week. So I got every single prediction that I made right except Yokasta Valle and Evelin Bermudez. Now Yokasta was the betting favorite for the fight, but she was also coming up in weight, and Evelin Bermudez was the reigning champion, you know, sort of at junior flyweight, I believe it was. So I've seen Evelin fight several times before. Like, she's very sort of she's very powerful, normally quite big and imposing on the majority of her opponents. So I thought, you know, Yokasta sort of coming up in weight, it might be a bit of a tall task for her, even though she was the home fighter and the favorite. She got some definite home cooking on the judging scorecards, we'll say that for one of them at least. The cards read 95-95, which was a draw. Then there was a 97-93, which I could accept, to be fair, because there's a couple swing rounds in there. And then Adelaide Bird reared her ugly head back into the world of boxing and gave a 99-91 scorecard to Yokasta Valle. So yeah, the home cooking was definitely in, but that's pretty much the only one I got wrong. Outside of that, big ups to John Ryder. I predicted that he was going to beat Zach Parker. Now I haven't seen the fight yet, I'm still yet to see that, so I'm going to find some time to watch that. Hamza Shiraz got the KO over River Wilson Bent, which I did predict would happen. I thought it would be a bit of a, you know, close fight. Again, haven't seen that card, so I'm going to have to check that one out also. I said that Liam Williams would get a knockout, and I said that Harlem Eubank would go distance. So, you know, ran the gamut on that one. I said that Sandy Ryan would go the distance with Anahi, Esther, Sanchez. That took place. Obviously, there was no Craig Richards, unfortunately. But I did say that Wardley would KO Gorman. I didn't think it would be as early as round 3. I can't remember what round I picked, but I did say it would be KO. Now, Dillian probably is the only person that broke my accumulator. I had an accumulator on. I had 2 of them on, to be honest. And I had Dillian to win rounds 5 to 8 on one, and then on the other one it was just via knockout. Now, before even doing my videos, I had this sneaking suspicion that this fight was going to go points, because I know Jermaine Franklin has got a decent chin. I've seen him eat several hard shots before, but I just thought that with the body attack and the fact that he hasn't been active recent, you know, and essentially he's been in the fat camp, he's carrying a lot of additional weight that is going to stop him from being able to kind of get out of the way of a lot of things. I just thought he might just end up eating a bit too much, but I had this sneaky suspicion, go the distance, it's going to go the distance. But I didn't. I chose to use the logic rather than the actual the gut instinct I had, and obviously cost me a bet over the weekend. But I still said that Dillian was going to win. Primarily, people talking about robbery, Jermaine Franklin won the fight. Now, I was live in attendance. I scored it. I was scoring it round by round as it was going on. I had it 7-4 and 1 even. So that makes a scorecard of 116-113. The even round, if you swing it to Franklin, then it's 115, 113 Dillian. If you swing it to Dillian, it's 116, 112. So to me, there, you know, it wasn't necessarily a robbery. Dillian didn't do as well as he probably should have, or that people was expecting. Franklin came a lot better than advertised to a lot of people. So because he had moments of success, it looked like he was doing better than he was, or that he was winning rounds. But the majority of the time, he was getting himself pushed to the ropes. He was getting pushed around the ring. Anytime a significant shot landed from Dillian, you could see the somewhat the grimacing from Franklin. So he was just landing the more effective shots as well. And for all the activity that he had, Dillian's cross guard was actually blocking quite a lot of the work that Franklin was trying to let off and land. So yeah, it's one of those ones, you watch it back enough times, you'll quite clearly see that Dillian Whyte was the winner. He just kind of did enough and labored. I would like to see the relationship with Buddy McGirt one more time to give a final analysis, because online, I'm not gonna lie, I did say I think he might be done at world level based on this performance, but finding out only been with Buddy for 6 weeks, obviously they're working on things. And I heard some people saying that in the crowd, Buddy was saying to do certain things and Dillian was implementing it in the ring. So maybe he was trying to be more controlled and listen to his corner. Obviously when he started to let loose sort of rounds 10, 11, 12, things started to change, and you say to yourself, if he had done that a bit earlier, who knows. And it looks like very much one of those situations where he was setting up Franklin, just thinking, I'm just going to hit you with this shot and you're going to go. And then when Franklin didn't go, all of a sudden it's like, oh, he was unable to switch the pace and go through the gears and up the levels. So that's something that obviously we may have to look at moving forward, just to see if that's, you know, just a sign of age, if that's just a sign of slight regression or whatnot. But also I'm definitely sure that he was very cognizant of this whole can't take the uppercut, and so was being a lot more cautious maybe in those earlier rounds than he normally would be. But it wasn't, I think it was an okay performance. I just say, like, you know, I wasn't impressed, but it wasn't a bad performance either, and he, to me, quite clearly won. But yeah, so that's that. Bakadir Jalilov beat what was it, Curtis Hughes. I knew he was going to do that. I did think it might be rounds 1 to 2, but he ended up getting him out in the 4th round instead. I predicted that Regis Prograis was going to KO William Zepeda. I didn't think it would be the 11th round, but I think I said around round 9 that he would basically just catch him with something that Zepeda didn't see coming, and the punch resistance would ultimately, you know, sort of be his downfall, because his punch resistance hasn't been the greatest, especially since the Baranchik fight, where, you know, I think that fight probably aged him several years. But I watched it late last night. It was a really good fight, to be fair. I need to watch it again properly for tactical analysis for tomorrow, but yeah, definitely going to do that. Went to the boxer card. I managed to get there just as Shannon Ryan was doing a ring walk, so big ups to her. First 6-rounder. She done very, very well, to be honest. I was really impressed. The only thing is, I feel like she could have stepped on the gas a bit more in rounds 4, 5 and 6 when her opponent was really hurt. You might see a bit of a video that I'm going to put in where I said to one of my colleagues, if she literally just goes up in front of the high guard and just walks this girl down, she'll be able to take her out, because the girl, like, she's not ready at this moment. She's tired, she's gassed, she's been hurt, she's been wobbled. Like, you literally just got to, like, apply pressure on her. Where Shannon didn't really do much of that. But yeah, still solid performance. What else was there? Adam Azim. I knew he would beat Ryder Charlton. I did not expect it to only be a 2-round job. Seeing it ringside, it was a sight to behold. I'll give him that. So big ups to Adam Azim. And Mikael Lawal, he didn't look great at all. I heard him say something, he's had flu for the last week or whatever. That I can believe that, because he didn't really move like he had much energy and pace, but he managed to get the stoppage based Jameson retired in his corner. I think he got hit with a punch that split his tongue. So the doctor said he could no longer continue, so he had to go. He had to leave. I think that was at the end of the 8th round. So yeah, he got 8th round TKO victory, which was very lucky, because had that not have happened, I think he was on the way to losing that British title fight, quite frankly. But yeah, look, overall it was a pretty good weekend. As I said, every prediction that I made, apart from Yokasta Valle and Evelin Bermudez, stuck. The method of prediction for the majority of them stuck, except for the Dillian Whyte one. And I guess technically maybe you could say John Ryder, because I said, you know, maybe like a majority or a split points decision. Ultimately, Zach Parker retired, quit, couldn't continue, whichever way you look at it. But yeah, so that sort of wraps up the weekend in a nutshell. I'm gonna see if I put a little bit of footage in there just for you guys to kind of see some of the angles and stuff that I had, but it was a good one overall. So imagine Jamal Charlo goes up to Dimitri Bivol during the Marv Nation card where he's supporting Regis Prograis, and Dimitri Bivol's, you know, he's supporting Bakadir Jalilov, and he goes up to him and is like, I want to fight you, like, let's fight. And then, you know, Bivol's like, but you fight where? Like, you fight down lower weights. And he's like, well, yeah, no, we'll fight for your belt, that 168. He's like, but I don't have a belt 168, I'm at 175. He goes, yeah, but like, we could fight a 168. You got the WBA, they'll let you do that. So obviously what he's saying is catch weight 168 pounds, but put your 175 pound title on the line. And he's like, well, but you have no belt, so if you get belts, I'll fight you, but why would I fight you for no belt at 168 when you don't even campaign at 168? I was just watching this whole exchange and I'm like, as much as, look, Jamal Charlo is, yeah, that guy is a straight up clown. Like Mel Charlo, I got all the time in the world for Mel. He's a bit high strung, like emotional, but at least Mel puts in work. Like Jamal does nothing apart from clout chase. And the rumor is that he's actually fighting in February. He's got a fight date in February, and it's basically just the rescheduled Maciej Shuletsky fight. So the same fight that everyone was crucifying Andrade for, like what was it, 2.5 years ago, is the same fight that they crucified Jamal Charlo for before the back injury. And now you're running that same fight back after the reschedulement, when there's plenty other decent opponents for you to be able to fight in February or anywhere else. I just thought to myself, you know what, I had to just make my observation on this, because it's ridiculous. Like, this guy is a waste to the middleweight division right about now. Like, that they need to strip that WBC belt off him, or make him fight a mandatory at this point. He doesn't deserve a tune up. He doesn't deserve a voluntary. He hasn't had any mandatory title fights, I think, since he's got the WBC. It's about time that put him in there with a mandatory. If you don't want to take the mandatory, strip him or make him vacate the belt, and let's get the 160 division moving again, because that used to be one of the glamour weights, and right now it's pretty much a joke division. And that's not something I wanna say when you had, you know, man like Hagler in there. You know, you don't want to think of sort of a Hagler, or even like a James Toney, you know, and these kind of guys, Bernard Hopkins at one point. Like, you've got those, and now you've got Jamal Charlo. Like, it doesn't compute. So something needs to be done about that division ASAP. But yeah, I just needed to sort of address the lunacy of that whole call out. Again, typical PBC thing. Like, you got a fight date coming up. Now all of a sudden you gotta make news by mentioning someone else that you know there's absolutely no chance you're gonna be able to fight, to draw some interest towards the fight you're about to have that nobody asked for. I'm tired of the narrative. It's long. Oh, and quickly before I wrap this video up, has anyone messaged Frank Warren yet about this Zolani Tete and Jason Cunningham situation? Because Cunningham's his fighter, right? Like, he's the big British guy. You know, everyone wants to talk about, oh, foreigner this, foreigner that, but when it comes to Zolani Tete and this supposed PED test and this B sample and all that other stuff, like, where's the smoke? Where's the same reaction? That, you know, I want that Conor Benn energy for Zolani Tete, and I want that Eddie Hearn energy for Frank Warren right now, because I need to know how this test, what the results for this test were found out supposedly in July, sometime around the time of the fight, and the fight went ahead, and now everyone finds out in November. Bearing in mind that Jason Cunningham needed like 7 minutes of emergency service work in the ring, like, after the fight. So they was working on him and, you know, helping him to recover for 7 minutes after. Now, I'm not saying that Tete is dirty. I haven't seen the test. I don't know for sure. But my whole issue is, when it was Eddie Hearn and when it was Conor Benn, it was this big thing that went on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and every single video had something in it. Zolani Tete, I can't hear a peep. Frank Warren ain't done an interview. George Warren ain't done an interview. What's the other Warren? Well, Francis Warren, I ain't heard nothing from him. No one ain't even spoke to Dev Sani about it. Like, you know, you pulled out the woodwork for everyone else from the Conor Benn thing, but when it comes to this, I can't hear nothing. I just need to know what's going on. And number one is, you know, did Zolani pop dirty for definite, yes or no? Number two, why was Jason Cunningham not informed if he's, you know, the Brit, if he's supposed to be back in the Brits at this point? And why no one is questioning Frank Warren and, you know, what he plans to do about it moving forward, or how he allowed the event to go on knowing that this adverse finding or this failed test had occurred, or there was a suspicion that it occurred. I need to know all of this. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there for now. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your comments down below, and as always, Hardcore Casual out.